to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Hayward.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Shar.
Here.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Sharp,
Second.
second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public comment, we have one person, Steve Elliott. I'm not sure when you put down number 3 for your topic. Is that the bills?
No, I've got 3 different things on here.
Oh,
And
Oh.
I'm sorry for not explaining all that, but it won't take long.
okay. If you would like to come forward. You do need to give us your name and address, and you have 5 minutes, but
Okay, it won't take that long, I don't think. I'm Steve Elliott, and I live at 115 4th Avenue Southwest. And I'm not here like a lot of times I see people standing here to complain about something. I've just got 3 things on my mind that I want to express to you, some concerns. I'm a very proud and happy resident for the City of Independence. And I just have concerns for safety and welfare and happiness of the people of our community. The first thing that I want you to have you think about is a little bit of a traffic problem. There's 2 traffic problems actually, but one, since the resurfacing of Bland Boulevard, there is much more traffic in that area than what used to be, of course. Nice road. We should all be proud and happy with it. But at the intersection of 6th Avenue and Bland Boulevard, we're stopping traffic from the south and from the west. But that is a very awkward intersection because of the angle at which the traffic from the west approaches it. That, along with the fact that there is a bit of a grade there, the contour of 6th Avenue isn't consistent. So the visibility isn't real great when you approach that intersection from the west, looking to the north, and that traffic does not stop. I would like to have you consider installing a stop sign at that intersection. That way it would be a 3-way or all-way stop. I think would make that much safer because it's just an awkward situation, and I'd like to see that it's changed.
I've heard a few people in that neighborhood that really wants that.
Yeah. Second concern. It's been a period of several months, maybe a year, I think, since you've, and I don't know who governs this, whether you do or not, but governs the timing on traffic lights in our city. I know I'm sure it's not just my perception, but I'm sure those intervals have stretched out dramatically. And if you observe daily what it does to the traffic flow through our community, you'll realize, I would hope, that it's been a mistake to change it. The traffic flow through Independence, particularly late afternoons, and particularly now since the school has started once more, you see traffic backed up for blocks approaching from the west particularly, but all the lighted intersections are having the same kind of problem. And I'd like to have you take a look at that situation and maybe do something about it. People get impatient. I see people running red lights. I see people darting through parking lots so they can get around the intersection. And it's just an unsafe situation that I'm observing. The third thing that I'm concerned about, and I hope you're making notes on these, The third thing I'm concerned about is for months and months, we've heard a lot of discussion around town and information through the newspaper about a new police station. And in all that discussion and verbiage that I've read, I've seen nothing about what to me is the obvious choice for a different police station in town. It's right in your own backyard here, right out your back door, and that's the old Casey's station. I've seen so many communities around the state of Iowa where Walmart's close or Casey's close or some other convenience store, and those facilities are left to become real eyesores of the community. I think that that would make a wonderful spot for a police station. And I'm sure there's lots of arguments, there's no garage space and there's no space for this or that or whatever. But it is centrally located. I'm sure because of the situation it could be bought very reasonably, and there's plenty of space in there for a police station. If you'd compare that to the amount of space that was used for, what, 20 years or more in the law enforcement center, they would think they had lots and lots of room. But it just would make good sense to me for you to give considerable consideration to that facility, centrally located, paved lot. It would make a lot of sense for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, for you to look at that as a possible new police station. All I have. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, next on the agenda is I will need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the September 24th, 2018 regular meeting, city financials for the months of August and September, budgeted transfers for the month of September. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Hill.
Second.
Second by Scharf. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is approval of claims.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Kurtz,
Second.
second by Hill. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. The motion is carried. Okay, next I will need a motion to approve the Independence Chamber of Commerce 2018 Downtown Trick or Treat, Wednesday, October 31st, 2018, from 3:45 p.m. to 5:30, and to waive compliances with city ordinance codes as follows: Chapter 60, Administration of Traffic Code, Section 60.08, Parades Regulated; Chapter 69, Parking Regulations, Section 6906, Parking Prohibited, and Section 6908, No Parking Zones for closing and restricting traffic flow and no parking zones. Chapter 40, Public Peace, Section 40.06, Loitering at City Hall to allow persons to assemble on the City Hall property to receive trick-or-treat items. Chapter 136, Sidewalk Regulations, Section 136.17, Merchandise display items on display that interfere with free and uninterrupted passage of pedestrians on the sidewalk.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Kurtz. I need a roll call for this.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. You're good to go. The city one then will be from 5:30 to 7 at the same night. Next, I have a resolution. I need a motion to approve a resolution to assess property owners for Chapter 52 mowing failure to comply.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Scharf, second by O'Loughlin. Roll call, please.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next is a motion in regards to the changes of waste disposal rates.
This is the discussion that we've had concerning our increase from Waste Management for our fees. And this is broken down into the container size, by size of container, the increases that we charge.
I make a motion to pass it.
Motion by Scharf, second by Kurtz. Any other discussion? They need a roll call on this then, too?
Yes, please.
Okay, roll call, please.
Hill.
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve resolution to assess property owners for Chapter 136 sidewalk regulations.
These are properties in Ward 2 that received a notice to repair their sidewalks, had opted out, and when they were re-inspected, had not fixed it. The city did go in and make the repairs, sent the bill. The bills have not been paid on these properties. So it would be assessed to their tax rolls.
I'll
And all
make a
these guys
motion.
are aware of this?
These folks were notified, yes.
No comments back, or?
I'm not aware of any comments that we received back. They did get their notice, they opted out. They were re-inspected a year later. This was from, not this summer, but the summer before.
I have a motion from Hill.
Did you get a second?
Second.
Okay, motion from Hill, second by Scharf. A roll call, please.
Scharf.
Yes.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
And Hill.
Okay, thank you. Motion is
Bill?
carried.
Yes.
He
You
was
didn't
on-
get that aye.
He was on my second page.
Okay. Next is First Street East lead service lines. I need a motion for directions to the engineer.
This has to do with our anticipation based on some recent activity downtown of lead service lines when we replace the water line with next year's Highway 150, or First Street rather, project. How do we want to handle the lead service lines as we find them? We know that there's some, we don't know how extensive, and it's, again, primarily downtown.
Is this from the curb to the business building?
Well, our concern is the fact that we're replacing the water main. So currently, the lead lines come into the water main. When we replace that, are we going to replace the lead service lines at that point or dig up the street when that lead service line gets replaced? The goal is obviously to avoid having to dig up a brand-new street. So to what extent do we replace those lead service lines off of the water main? I think a couple of the options that the engineer offered would be to replace the service line from the main to the back of curb, or offer to replace them all the way into the building and bill the property owner for that, or make the property owners aware of those issues and give them the opportunity to incur that cost while the street's open, while they can replace it all at one time. It would be the most cost-effective if it's replaced while the street is tore up, and if a number of people do it all at the same time, because there's some volume discount, if you will, if they're doing it all at the same time. Really, I think, from the city standpoint, we do not want to leave a lead service line tied into the main where the street would have to be tore up to replace it. So at the very least, it should be taken back to the curb. So I think your real decision is, do we take it to the back of curb, or do we take it all the way into the building and assess the property owner, or do we put the burden on the property owners to make that decision, to hire their own contractor? The risk with the property owners hiring their own contractor is it could slow the project down based on when individual properties get their service line or get their contractor in place to do the work.
Sounds like we're gonna be tearing that red sidewalk up, don't
Well, if they get it to the back of curb, they can bore through the sidewalk to the building, or that's
Oh,
the
they can?
that was the anticipation.
we? Okay.
But I don't know that they have to tear up the
I
sidewalk.
think the property owners ought to have the choice what they want to do. It's their property. We go to the curb and then let them decide if they want our outfit to do it, or do it on their own, or not do it.
So if they don't do it while, if they don't do it while we have the street torn up, they will have to tear up the sidewalk.
Correct.
If they do
If they have to replace it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But if they're lucky and don't have to replace it, why?
I don't know why anybody would want to leave lead lines.
Well, some people would, you know, we can't speak for everybody.
Probably depends on cost.
And the problem with leaving it for the individual property owners is you could have business A wants company ABC to do that for them, and business B wants company D, E, and F. They're not gonna be on the same schedule. You can't work on the street until they're done. It could really bog down that whole street project from one end to the other. Because there's no guarantee they're all gonna hire the same company to come in and put the
Can't
line
we
in on
send
their
out letters
property.
far enough ahead to say that if you have this problem and you want it fixed, this is the day we'll do it?
But we
And you
clearly,
have people lined up on your own to do it when that project come available?
yeah, I
That's
mean,
not the way contractors work in reality. They'll tell you anything and then not show up. You know, I mean, you could.
What if we
you
offered
could
a
have them
finan-
saying that, but
What if we offer a financial incentive to them, say, if you agree to change it in your building and you are willing to do it within this specified time frame so we can stay on schedule, the city would pay 10% of the cost to put it into your building. Is anybody, is that out of the realm of possibilities, or?
Well, they're probably gonna, like you said, get a discount anyway if our contractor does it all.
Well, that's my hope, that they
But-
do, and that,
But as a
my
property
guess
owner,
is they might get more than 10% if they do it by our contractor when the thing is opened up.
Has there been any discussion with any of the property owners downtown about,
at this point, no, there has not. Again, the concern is, as they do they're getting into the final plans that have to be submitted to the state, how do they address those lead lines? And they have to terminate them at some point or another for
When do those plans have to be in, Al?
the end of this month.
End of this month?
Actually, it might be well, I think it is the end of the month. It's October that they have to have them down to the state.
would it be possible for us to table this and visit with the property owners and try to get a consensus or a direction?
probably not?
No, because the engineers have to have time to address it in the plans one direction or another. My recommendation would be, with that in mind, at the very least, I think the direction the engineer needs is we're going to take those service lines to the back of curb.
Right.
Because I don't think we want to leave them in the middle of the street.
Absolutely.
And then I think if we want to do a bid alternate or an addendum in the, change order in the project itself, you've got some latitude there after, the project gets to the state, but you cannot hold the engineer up much longer than where we're at. As far as the base of, the minimum that you would expect for the project. Now, your other
Well, could we just do it, do the motion now to run it to the curb and have the, as you said, the addendum to have them bid to put it into all the buildings? So we know what the cost would be when we talk to owners?
Well, I think we can make that change, like I said, moving forward in a couple of different ways, but the engineers have to put something in the specifications that go to bid.
Because otherwise, we don't know what to tell the business owners, what the cost will be unless we get a bid from the contractor on what he would charge to do it.
Correct.
I would make a motion that we upgrade any lead service lines from the main to the back of curb.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to direct the engineer to repair it from the main to the back of the curb?
Yes.
Okay.
And does that include getting an alternate bid or is that later?
Like I say, I don't think we need the alternate bid at this point. We just need this to give them the direction so they can finish their report to send to the state, right?
Correct, and we can make that decision, make the determination as to how we want to do it. We can get the information as we proceed, because the bid is still designed to, programmed to go out in January, that's their target. But the state has to have so many days to go through it and to put it into their program. That's why they need it in October. So we still have some time to do that, Bob. Whether we do it as an alternate or give them the option of hiring our contractor, get the contractor, once they're selected, to give them a set price to bring it into the building. There's different things that can happen.
All right.
Okay, so I have a motion by Hayward, second by Scharf, to direct the engineer to replace the lead lines from the main to the back of the curb. Is that correct? Roll call.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to set the date of public hearing for consideration of vacation of a portion of street right-of-way for October 22nd, 2018 at 6:30 PM.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by O'Loughlin.
I do have one clarification for you in visiting with the city attorney. In the notes, I did identify taking of bids on the disposal of this land, and I think because of the nature of where the property is situated and the amount of land, the city attorney would allow us to sell the property at fair market value.
Yes.
Okay.
Just so I have everybody on the same page, so it would not be the formal bidding on this one.
Do I have a motion to
I'll
set
make
that
a
date?
motion.
Yeah.
Motion by
Oh,
Hill.
We
wait.
had Scharf and O'Loughlin.
Oh, we did, okay, I'm sorry. We moved so fast. Want a roll call on this also? Oh, no,
mine
we
is
just
same.
need to make them, okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Thank you. Next is the building inspector, a motion to approve and the building inspector job description for hire.
The change here is from part-time to full-time. There was a discussion after our last visit to this to make it a full-time position and include the code enforcement side as well as the building inspection piece. Before we can advertise, I think we want to make sure that it's consistent, whether it be full-time or part-time.
When would we look to have this filled? January 15th or?
Oh, January 1st would be the target date. The reason I'm bringing this up right away now is so we can start advertising yet in October, going through the process to have somebody on board by the first of the year when that position's vacant.
And then Brian Lau would go back to being a full-time police officer that date.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. I could use a second though. Kurtz.
Second.
Did you get your answer, Deb?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Under the essential duties, the 2, 4, 6th and 7th ones, it says support office staff and provide counter service. Is that person going to be set up here or up at the city shop?
That is set up to be at the city shop. That's the office space that was earmarked for that. The counter support is in essence meeting with people, answering their questions. So there is an expectation that they'd be available to meet with people at the office.
But meet here or there?
I would anticipate being up there
Okay.
at their office.
Okay, well, it just said support office staff.
Most people will come in here asking about building permits, inspections, asking building questions. I think that's where the support for staff is. We can do a lot of helping with the customer support. We can't answer all of that.
Okay.
We need some help with that.
I just wanted to clarify that.
We can modify that if that is confusing, but again, the intent is to provide that customer service. And that is addressed, I think, in a couple of other areas as well.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to authorize the city manager to submit a Delta Dental Fluoridation Award application.
This is an application to help offset some of our costs with the upgraded fluoridation equipment. We invested just over $40,000 in equipment for the system. Delta Dental has a grant process that will help us pay for at least a portion of it. And I'm just looking for permission to apply for this grant and get that sent off this week.
So moved.
Motion by O'Loughlin.
Second.
Second by Scharf. You don't need a roll call on this?
Do we know, do we have a
Yes,
pretty good
please. We
chance of
do.
getting it, or?
It sounds like we have a very good chance of getting it. I mean, we meet the criteria and that they set out for it, so I think there's a reasonable chance.
Do you know when it will be awarded, actually awarded, or the amount?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, motion and second are on the floor. I need a roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes?
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next, I'm supposed to verify with the city attorney the ability to legally enter into a closed session on this area.
Mayor, if I may, items E and F both pertain to the police station. And I think that any public discussion or input that would be at this council meeting should happen prior to a potential closed session.
So, meaning if there's somebody in the audience that wants to speak on it?
Correct.
Do we have somebody? Okay. Please give your name and address.
It's Quentin Stenger. I'm at 401 14th Avenue Northeast.
Okay.
So I'm a family practice provider. I work in Evansdale. My wife is a counselor, goes to Monticello, so we have a central location here for our family. Wanted to kind of start with that my brother is a deputy near Omaha. And I know facilities are key. You know, that is a huge advocacy that we need to do, and we need to get you facilities that are up to date and hopefully centrally located, you know, for the remainder of for the rest of the city. Wanted to kind of advocate for families though as well too. I come from the first ward. We don't have any parks, you know, in that area. We have 0 parks. Malone Creek is second, quite a walking distance for most of the ward. The nearest one is, my son calls it, the courthouse, you know, basically park. And wanted to kind of advocate for families that Iowa is one of the worst in the nation of public lands. We are, at least according to when I took some DNR classes, basically for guns. I'm a Nebraska transplant here. My wife's from Iowa, right from this area, but we're 45th in the nation as of that class. That was last year, basically in public land. Less than 1% of public land or 1% of Iowa is public land. So I wanted to advocate for the families in the area. If we want to grow independence, we have to be conscious of guarding those public areas. You know, can we get a police station and advocate for that in a realm that we don't own yet as a city? As a taxpayer, I'm willing to support that. You know, if taxes need to go up, I'm willing to do that. I don't think we need to make it smaller. You know, if the proposed location, we lose trees that are generational trees. If you ever taken your son or your daughters, you know, to those parks, my son won't have that opportunity, or his son, or even his grandson, you know, with some of those trees that are generational trees. If we move the park, you know, where do we move it? Where do we lose that playground equipment? We lose the swing sets. We lose the seating in the area as well too. So there's a baseball field over on the other side. If you ever taken your grandsons or granddaughters, you know, that's important. So I wanted to kind of advocate as you guys make a decision. I just want to advocate and hopefully keep that in your minds of the families in the area. If we want to grow the area, that's one of the first things that the realtor will talk to them about. Where's the parks? And the first, we don't have any. That's the closest one we have. So I want to thank you for your time and your efforts, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else out there that wanted to speak to this issue? No? Okay, now, do we need to go into, or are we allowed to go into closed session?
To discuss potential offer
Okay.
on purchase price and whatnot on real estate, I presume.
I think there's two questions that come to bear. One is specific location, price, another has to do with multiple locations. Can they discuss a variety of private property locations that are on the table?
I would say in terms of price and whether an offer is going to be made and for what. So to the extent that is necessary to get to a price, and if that price could be zero if you offer nothing. I think we need to stick to price, and if the price leads to there being no offer at that price, then so be it. But we need to keep that narrowly tailored to the price to be offered.
Is some of these cases may be estimated prices, though? Can we go into closed session to discuss several areas and the cost of each one of those?
Yes, we don't just have to, we can discuss more than one
Okay.
property as to price.
Okay, so if we are going to be discussing price and such like that, we should go into closed session?
Yes, because you don't
That
want
point.
to negatively impact your bargaining session by telegraphing what you might offer for a particular piece of property.
Okay, okay. So do I have a motion to go into closed session for that purpose?
So moved.
Motion by Scharf.
Second.
Second by O'Laughlin. This doesn't need a roll call, does it? Oh, okay, go, roll call.
Hold on, O'Loughlin's last name is really long.
Just make an O.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion's carried, and we are now going to closed session. We will be coming back in order to talk about the police department, so if you want to wait in the fire department and come back a little later, we'll come out and get you.